Topping Talks.
Let's see it.
105 hours a week, can't be beat. Welcome to Topping Talks. Topping Talks is a Topping Tribune production, and today's episode is proudly sponsored by Topping Technologies. Topping Talks is also on Spotify, Rumble, Apple Podcasts, and all of your favorite platforms. Topping Technologies is an IT value-added reseller and services company with a special proficiency in IT security. Heck, I see their founder at least twice a day. Gotta say he's quite handsome and brilliant. He's me, you see, that's a joke. If you're an IT leader or business owner, you can reach out to the team at sales@toppingtechnologies.com. Also, giving away a free Flamethrower with every IT purchase. Go to toppingtechnologies.com to learn more. And yes, you can attach it to a standard AR-15 Picatinny rail, as all awesome accessories can be done. Now, without further ado, today I'm proud to say I'm interviewing Paulo Orosz, who is a learning consultant and long career in telecommunications.
Hey, how you doing?
Absolutely. Thanks so much for coming on the show, man.
No, man. Thank you for inviting me. I appreciate that.
Absolutely. So winding back the clock a couple of years, how did you first get into IT?
I need to go way back in time. So it's not just a couple of years. It's a little bit more than that. The way that I remember my first contact with that, the uncle that I have, right, that's married with my auntie, he used to be part of this big IT school back in Brazil. And one day I came back home and there was a few posters there. One of these posters was a poster from Unix. And that poster had a big screen, like a big computer screen, and this Android going to type on the keyboard. And that was the very first thing that told, man, there's something there. I wanted to know more about it. And then I started to look into what were the computers that we could afford at that time, etc. Eventually, I got this little computer called MSX.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It is more common, I would say to you, in Japan and a few in Asia countries. I think it was equivalent of Amiga here.
Okay.
So Commodore,
yeah,
Amiga, things like that. And then I start to, programming.
Really?
Basic, I learned basic by myself. And that was the very first thing that I did, right?
What was the first few things you're programming?
Man, I remember that there was a kaleidoscope, that my parents were proud of me, right? Because I was doing that thing. We were talking about 80s. And I remember that every time that there was visits at home, and they would come and say, oh, show to them, that kaleidoscope thing that you do in the computer.
Yeah.
And I didn't have a place to record the program, right? So I need to type over and over and over.
Oh my God, really?
I probably knew that program, completely from my mind, right?
Oh my God.
Back and forth. And that was the first thing. And then I did somewhat a copycat of Pac-Man, and things like that. So that's how I started, right? Of course, I didn't make business on that or anything like that. I was, a kid at that point in time. But that drove me to go to college with a major in electronics, with a minor in telecommunications.
Really cool. Why telecom? Just always interested in the subject?
So, again, it goes back when I was a kid. When I was a kid, one day there was a radio that was broken in my home. And then I decided to open the radio. And I decided to play with the radio. And then I figured out that if I could get additional metal on the antenna, I could make that I could make a larger surface of a reception. And then I got the pasta. I don't know what's the name of that, neither in English, Spanish, or Portuguese right now. But the pasta thing that you put the pasta to take it out.
Oh, like a strainer.
The strainer, thank you.
Yeah.
So I took the strainer and I attached it to the radio input. And then I put the antenna and then I put more metal on that. And suddenly I have reception again. So that concept came to my mind, and I always have this thing about antennas and things like that. So when I start my major in electronics, that was not a big thing. In Brazil, I'm talking about 90s, early 90s, to be more specific, 94. And then the B-band on cell phones hit Brazil. And that was a big need for professionals that had, the background of telecommunications. That moment I changed, And I said, you know what? I wanted to do telecommunications. I start to study. I start to look into the math. That was fascinating for me, right? How can we get in the same, channel, voice channel that before you were transmitting AM as a frequency or FM as a frequency, and now you can put 3, 4, many calls at the same time. That was pure mathematics, and I love that concept, And then I start to study that, and eventually I found my first internship not in telco specifically, but on microelectronics applied to telco. So I designed a chip on my first internship. Was pretty cool.
Oh, really?
Yeah, low noise amplifier.
Yeah.
For satellite communication, like Iridium. Do you remember Iridium? Cool. There was another company called ICO at that time that was trying to get into that business, and I got this internship of a company that's called CPQD. That's let's put that's the equivalent of the Bell Labs of Brazil.
Okay. Yeah.
Right, small scale, but that's kind of the same idea. And was able to go there and design this microchip. That was like a dream coming true. You know, I'm doing something that I always thought to do, but that was the last time I did.
Oh, really?
24 years ago. But it was cool. It was cool. And then eventually, I was able to get into one of the top tier OEMs for telecommunications, Ericsson.
There you go.
I started working there.
I was going to say, for the three people who don't know who that... I was going to say about for the three people, but it's interesting. It's one of the most largest successful companies in history, but some people don't realize how big they are because they don't make a lot of direct-to-consumer products.
That's the thing.
So what are they known for, just in a quick summary for folks at home?
So, and a quick disclaimer, I'm no longer working in Ericsson now, but Ericsson is a great company, right? Ericsson is responsible for all the infrastructure that your calls are going to go through. Your data is going to go through. I don't remember exactly what are the names as today, but sometime in the past, we were talking about 40% of all calls in the globe were through Ericsson networks.
I was saying, you guys were one of the biggest rollouts for 5G, too.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's a company that do a lot of R&D, a lot of development, and with that, a lot of patents.
Oh, yeah.
So therefore, almost every single device that do 5G, right, you're going to have a finger of Ericsson there, right? Someone from Ericsson actually work on a patent or in a group that developed a patent and things like that. So it's a great company.
I was going to say, for New York Minute, you guys made cell phones with a partnership with Sony. I remember my first flip phones was Sony Ericsson.
Oh, you got the Sony Ericsson.
Yeah,
all right.
With the removable faceplate to make it custom and cool blue.
So let me tell you this. I'm a little bit older than you, so I'm from the time that Ericsson used to do their own cell phones.
Yeah.
So, or even... I'm a little bit older than you. So even the home phones, right? So I remember that the first time I told my grandma that, hey, I'm going to work on this company, right? I just got selected on this process, and I'm going to go to work for this company. She said, oh, yeah, we used to have a phone from them. They still do those?
Oh, yeah.
No.
Well, it's kind of like Nokia. They used to make phones, too, but now they're known for the back-end infrastructure that most people don't see directly.
Yeah, here in U.S., I believe Nokia does not have phones anymore, but
no.
I believe they still do have some phones. I'm not quite sure.
I think it's $10 billion. They sold that to Microsoft when Microsoft was trying to make their phones.
That is true.
They sold that off.
True.
So
you're right.
They probably still have some patents, but they decided to get a consumer because, with cell phones,
I think you're right.
It's a race to the bottom. There's basically, realistically, two companies that make money on cell phones. You got Apple and you got Samsung, but the margins are so thin, you don't see a lot of competitors these days.
But I would say this to you. I think that when we're talking about big numbers, for sure, right? Apple and Samsung, maybe Google, right?
We got the Pixel,
They had the Pixel. It's a nice phone, etc. But I was in Japan about 2 years ago. I went for vacations there. And the amount of other phones, like a Kyocera's and a Sharp and other phones like that, are huge. And you take a look on the phones, man, the amount of technology that they develop on those phones.
Oh, yeah.
They still Android, but the amount of technology is amazing. But again, how you get to worldwide market competition with Samsung and Apple today? I think it's pretty difficult.
Oh yeah, I mean, with some companies it's about the culture. I mean, you have people that buy into the Apple ecosystem because they have all the accessories that build upon each other. It's brilliant and it's very convenient for the consumer. But yeah, I think a lot of companies, they just couldn't cut it, and there's a lot of bad business decisions that, in hindsight, it's 2020. But yeah, a lot of like most companies don't make a lot of profit on the phones either. Kind of like printers. That's why a lot of them kind of chose to step away. Like
that's right.
Like Nokia used to be the OG, like indestructible phone for the portable cell phone, and they just realized, well, they didn't really embrace the developers, which is what Apple and Google really did. It's kind of like just like the issue with Microsoft. But yeah, it's one of those things where we decided, we're going to step away and we're going to do the infrastructure. So yeah, a lot of people realize the phones and the internet, a lot of the infrastructure is Nokia and Ericsson. But you just can't see the logo anymore. So that's why a lot of people don't realize it.
That's right.
I mean, I wish they had some. I know it's not as profitable to have consumer products, but just for the brand awareness, which kind of cliche to say that's important. Yeah. But yeah, it's some of those oldest, most successful companies since the dawn of time.
I don't remember what was the year of foundation, but this is a more than 120 years company. To be super honest with you. And I've been there for 22 years. I saw all the G's and D's and that, and Ericsson always had great technology there. So it's a company that's part of my story, and I'm proud that I've been there. And I think that we'll have a very long longevity on the new products that they're going to develop and deliver in the next few years.
And then what was it like working there? What's the culture like? What were the people like? Because it is one really big company. I know they have a huge U.S. headquarters in Plano, so there's a huge big campus there. What's the company culture like? And how do you like it?
So again, I need to go back a couple of years ago, right? More than a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
So I joined Ericsson in 2000 as intern.
Were you still in Brazil? Or
I'm still in Brazil that time.
There you go.
Still in Brazil that time. I started as instructor. Most of my career in Ericsson has been related with the learning part of the business. Most of the time, commercial learning. So with that, I had the possibility not to do just work in a particular part or in a particular country. I actually have a chance to develop one of my big passions, that's traveling.
Nice.
Because of Ericsson, right? The first time I traveled by airplane actually was because of Ericsson.
Oh, no way.
Yeah. Brazil is a continental country, right? It's like U.S. So a lot of times what you do, you just jump in a car and you drive. And you drive, you go anywhere you like. The roads sometimes are better, sometimes are worse, but it's drivable. Normally, you can go anywhere you want in Brazil by car. And then about 3 months in, I started to study some Spanish because I didn't speak any foreign language at that point, either English or Spanish or anything like that. And there was an opportunity to deliver a class in Argentina.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And one big thing for me in my life is soccer.
Oh, yeah.
Actually, football.
I was about to say.
For me, it's not soccer. My son keeps saying soccer, but for me, it's football.
Yeah.
That's how we call it, right? And we do have this big rivalry with Argentina, right? And my team in Brazil, Corinthians, has big rivalry with several of the Argentinian teams as well. So when they said about, we have this opportunity for you to go there and travel there, I said, man, I need to go there. I need to go there. I need to go to Boca Stadium. I needed to go to River, In the end, I only went to Boca, but I had this chance. And then I'm in the airport in Brazil to board on my first flight ever. So I arrived like 3 hours before, as everybody says you to do. I walked around. I saw some airplanes come up, come down. I saw this, I saw that, and suddenly I heard my name on the speaker system. Mr. Paulo Orosz. Last call for the flight to Buenos Aires, Argentina. I said, man, it's my name. And then I rushed it, but whilst I was rushing, I had to stop somewhere. Do you know where?
Where?
Duty-free.
Oh, really?
Because I'd never been a duty-free before, right? So first is my first air travel, is my first international travel, and the first time that I'm seeing duty-free in front of me. And the prices in Brazil are completely different than the prices in U.S. or a duty-free. I had to stop. I went there, took a look at something, keep running.
How much cheaper was it at the duty-free at the store? Was it like 20% less on the streets of Brazil?
It
or like-
depends. If you go back, for example, perfume, right? I had a list of the things that I had to buy for the family on the first travel, right? And if you get a perfume, for example, it could be 3-4 times cheaper depending on the perfume.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Because the taxes, right? The
Yeah.
tariffs, right? This is a big subject
Oh,
here
yeah.
right now in the U.S., right? About changing in the policies on tariffs, what's going to happen, etc. It can be good because you can help your industry to grow, but it can be bad because you and me are the ones that are in the end, buying the products, right? And if the protection is too big, like in Brazil, right? Now it's less than it used to be for most of the things. But when I was a kid, for example, I remember that I had a cousin that was living here, and he went back to Brazil with a bunch of action figures from Star Wars.
Oh, really?
Yeah. He arrived with that. I started to play with that. I said, man, I really wanted one of this, right? So in here was what? $3 maybe at the time, and we were talking about 86, 87. In Brazil was equivalent of $30.
Holy smokes.
So, some
That's a big
tariffs
one.
is important, right? Because you can protect
Oh, yeah.
what your internal companies, right? What you have the vocation for. I would say that's the thing. But in the same way, when someone raises the tariff in one side, they may raise the tariff on the other side. So I hope it's done.
It'll be interesting because especially for tech companies. So like India.
That's right.
And apologies, I forget the Prime Minister of India, but he said, hey, Apple, if you want Apple stores in India, we're going to allow it if you make Apple products here.
Really?
So
I didn't
now,
know that.
Oh, yeah, the iPhone production is dramatically shifted. I guess 100%, but I think it's up to 14% of the new iPhones are being manufactured in India so that they can have the Apple stores there.
Because the market, right? The size of the market drives that.
And
So-
and India is one of the fastest growing markets with one of the best demographics in terms of key people. The demographics you look for people with high buying power. I mean, it's exploding in volume in India. So I think you're going to see a lot more manufacturing. And
It's 1/5 of the population in
Oh
the
yeah,
end.
it's huge. And I know I was looking at a video game documentary a couple of years ago, and I was I was listening about how the tariffs, and actually in Brazil, they're saying how the tariffs for video games are so high.
That's right.
Microsoft is actually contemplating manufacturing the Xbox there to get around the tariffs.
Yeah, I can see that. I didn't see those news, but I can see that.
Yeah.
I can see that. In some situations, when the tariffs are so high, that stimulates also what? The black market.
Oh yeah, piracy.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
The PlayStation, line. I don't know about PS5, but PS1, PS2. I remember, that you have like some commerce on the street, right? So like if you have groceries fairs or something like that,
like a flea market,
like a flea market.
Yeah.
It's not exactly like that, but like a flea market. And you walk by and you see people selling the CDs. So how they sell the CDs, right?
Yeah.
Someone had to use ingenuity, right, in order to unbreak the device or unblock the device and figure out a way to copy and all that stuff. So unfortunately, that's one of the the situations that in some countries you're going to have when you have this excess of protection, for example.
Well, you also have variable pricing. I know a big thing with when it's just pure software sales for video games, which ironically I know a lot about, even though most of the video games I like are cartridge based. But
Okay, all right.
It's one of those things where a lot of the games like on Steam and a lot of these video games that you buy purely on the cloud, they'll have variable pricing where the fraction of the price in Brazil is nothing, partially because they have to take into account the tariffs. And they know there's less of that income that's being spent on video games. So it's like a fraction of the price you do there. I'm not sure how that works with people using VPNs to pretend they're in Brazil to buy it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it'll be interesting to see how much manufacturing is boosted in the U.S. and if tech follows. Because was it 1960s, over 96% of like electronics in the USA were made here. And now it's basically nothing unless you're a DoD contractor and like a Palo Alto Network firewall. That's made here. Because it's security and their biggest customers, the DoD and all those branches.
Yeah.
But like our average electronics are not manufactured here. How much is that going to affect the prices? And that will also create jobs, pros and cons though. So it'll be interesting to see do we see in our lifetime the first major shift of electronic manufacturing coming back to the U.S.?
So
potentially, I'm not sure.
On the 70s, when we have the oil crisis, right? Brazil used to import a lot of vehicles there.
Oh yeah.
So that to my knowledge, is one of the big ones that I can remember, because with the increase of the cost of the oil and everything else, right? So it shifted the way of building cars.
Oh, yeah.
And the buying power that people has here, or in Chile, or in a country in Asia, Vietnam, or in Brazil, are completely different.
Oh, absolutely.
Right? So if you produce, like, for example, Fords in here, and you try to sell everywhere, it's not going to be apples to apples, right?
No, it's too expensive.
You're going to compete against a BMW that maybe will be the same price level, depending on the location, right? If you get like a sports vehicle type of scenario, right? And on that time, there was even a prohibition of importation of cars in Brazil.
Really?
That I don't know if it was 74 that started, but went up to the 90s.
To the 90s?
Yes, only 94
Really?
that we start to import cars again. Well, during that time, what happened? Brazilians had to buy vehicles.
Yep.
It's a country that you have the steel, you have the oil, you have everything that you need to build those cars, right? So Ford had industry there.
Yeah.
GM have industry there.
Volkswagen, probably?
Volkswagen. Yeah. Volkswagen for very long was one of the big ones. Today is Fiat.
Oh, really?
The biggest one. Yep.
Like the actual, I know the Fiat brand, Stellantis owns like 17 things. Is it specifically the Fiat brand?
Fiat,
Really?
Fiat brand. And you have Jeep now as well.
Course.
It's built pretty much in the same factory, right?
Oh, it's all the same.
It's just on the next line. Sometimes people say, all right, are we going to buy a Fiat, or you're going to buy a Fiat Jeep, right? Because some of them, like...
the Compass?
No, the smaller one. What's the name of the smaller one? It's kind of... my daughter loved that car.
Cherokee?
No, the very small one. They have one that's very small.
For Jeep or Fiat?
No, for Jeep.
For Jeep.
Yeah, I forgot now the name.
I'll be honest. The only Jeep I would ever want is the Wrangler, because you get a stick shift.
That's a nice car. That's a nice car.
That's the only one I know. Because Jeep has so many things. They have the Wagoneer, which is a huge SUV these days. They have the Compass, which I'm pretty sure that's a bastardization, pardon the French, of a Fiat. It's just different badging. There's a couple different Jeep models. There's a lot of them to their.
There's a small one that is really not a Jeep.
Oh, it's gonna drive me crazy. Well,
me too.
A lot of them aren't. It's just the rebadging. Which most automotive manufacturers have that sharing of parts and the rebadging and
it's the same like this, right? This summer, it was the first time we did vacations in Europe.
Oh yeah.
And we went to Italy.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So I was looking which car I'm going to rent, right?
Yeah.
And of course, the nice cars. I could not fit my family in the bags. I had to rent a big car, a big for the European standards, right? A small
like
car
for
here.
us, yeah.
I got the Cupra that if I'm not wrong, is Volkswagen, made in. Spain.
Really?
If I'm not wrong. Cupra. It's a nice car. It's a nice car.
It's called the Cupra?
Cooper.
Oh,
yes.
Cooper.
It's Cupra.
Really?
Cupra. Yeah, it's a nice car.
And Mini hasn't sued him yet? That sounds so close. Did it have a stick shift or?
No, this one was automatic. Right? Was automatic. But when I was there, I started to see this big, toward their standards, SUV badged by Fiat.
Oh, yeah.
And it's the Dodge Durango.
Oh, yeah. It's all. I was gonna say it's all the same parent company now.
That's right. But in Brazil, that was the thing. It was to build these companies because, or you are forbid to buy, or the tariffs were so high that makes it almost impossible. So if I'm not wrong, in '94, when the president at the time, brought this news that here. Now you have the capability, right, to import and all that stuff. Actually, 92. I think 94 he was impeached.
Uh-oh.
But the whole thing there is he allowed the importation, but now the tariff was 100%.
Ouch.
So, it becomes like that. The excuse to let import was to make the local brands... the international local brands, because we only had one brand that was a natural Brazilian, brand.
Really? Which one was it?
Gurgel.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are they still around?
No, they are not. But if you look around, for example, in forums about cars. It's almost a cult. Even here in the U.S., people import these gorgeous.
Really?
Yeah, it's crazy, man. You know,
I gotta check that out.
There's
cool.
kind of a hidden Brazilian, car community type of thing. There's another one that was the Puma that I'm fascinated for. It's like a mix of a 911 and I would say Alfa Romeo.
Really?
Yeah, it's
Very cool.
There's another brand there that was called Miura, like the Lamborghini Miura.
They can get sued out of oblivion by Volkswagen for that.
Man, that time I don't think nobody would care, because the things were super separated. But today for sure, right? Today for sure. But that was a thing. So the industry had to build the whole thing, right? So you really create jobs and everything else because of that. But in the same way, when you have excess of protectionism, right, what happened? You don't evolve.
Yep.
So we need to find what's the balance for these things, I would say. But,
I agree.
But, some level of protection, I think, is needed. Otherwise, someone will mess with your cheese all the time.
True. I think the one thing that I think most countries are going to agree on slapping huge tariffs on China and BYD. Because last fiscal quarter, they just passed Tesla for the #1 EV manufacturer. And it's hard to beat China at a price point. And they're pretty good at doing the little copy-paste for technology. And BYD is growing so fast. Without excess tariffs, I think they'll just dominate every market. That, to me, is the biggest threat in automotive right now.
Yeah, BYD is invading Brazil right now.
Oh, yeah?
Last time I went there about a year ago, I never heard about BYD before. And we went in this mall, and they have a BYD there. We went there, and they look nice. I don't know how they drive. I don't know if they're reliable or not, to be super honest with you. But what I do know is Brazil was having the same kind of incentives that the U.S. has about electrical vehicles. And they were about to change the percentages of, tariffs and things like that about that. And the BYD actually packed a ton of cars and it brought to Brazil. And now they have these lots full of cars because they brought everything before the change of the tariffs.
Really? Okay.
So they had the main power to actually produce all of this. They brought it. And now, if I'm not wrong, they're building a factory there in Brazil, probably to get around the tariffs.
Because depending on, a majority of the tariffs by definition is just, where does it come from?
Yeah.
It'll be interesting. Do they change the definition to, who owns the company? So if they try to do a factory locally, that would alleviate some of the concerns of, losing local jobs because they're being employed there.
That's right.
But globally, it's still China, and a lot of people, do we trust that?
Yes.
It's like, well, it's technology. Is there malware in it?
That always has been the challenge, right? Can you rely on that Wi-Fi device that will change the lights of the color of your lights in your home, right? In my home, I have those things. Yeah, I do, but honestly,
separate network though.
Completely separate network.
Good. Yeah.
And I see this crazy traffic during the night, and pings coming back and forth. And I do have 3 routers that are cascade, right? So depending on the type of work, let's say, that I'm doing, I'm just 1, 2, or 3. So the 3, that's the one that I have all this, is pretty much my kind of a separated gas network just for this kind of devices.
There you go.
It's crazy.
Oh, it's ridiculous. It's funny. I work in IT, but I appreciate analog technology very much for my home. It's like I got $100 combo washer dryer I got off Craigslist, just bulletproof.
Okay.
Pretty rudimentary, but there's no tech. My friends got a new washing machine by one of the, I think it's Samsung or LG.
Okay.
It's like, oh yeah, why is it, they put it on the network because of course you have to have it there for the notifications on your phone. That's sarcasm, folks. But it's one of those things like, oh yeah, why is it pinging China every 10 seconds? And wait, why is it taking so much data to the Wi-Fi?
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, do you really need that? No. It's like, I don't think so.
Yeah.
So I don't think BYD is going to win any government contracts anytime soon. But yeah, it's one of those things where security is one of the biggest concerns.
I again, knowing what we know about, the cybernetic attacks and things like that, and cyber warfare is a real thing.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Some people try to say that's not there, and, this and that, but it's real.
Oh, yeah.
It's real, right? I remember one of the guys that I used to work with in Ericsson, he was saying that in a particular piece of the network that we use for testing, it was like something ridiculous, 240 attacks per minute, something like that, tentatives of attacks. But the system is robust, so nothing goes through, right? But do you know what's the big problem?
What?
It's not the system, it's the people.
Oh, yeah.
Is the ones that wanted to, click in this link oh, look, this looks fun.
Yeah.
This is free. Or, oh, this iPhone only costs $10. Yeah, right?
My boss says we need to get $25 iTunes gift cards.
Yeah.
It's like, oh my gosh, the human error. Yeah, human error is always one of the biggest things, as well as just, social engineering.
Yes.
You got the best cybersecurity in practice by the best, most expensive tools. But if you don't educate the people properly,
that's true.
And they can mess it up pretty quick.
That is true. That's something that I try to educate my kids, because in the end, they are in the age of no privacy.
Oh yeah.
I still believe that I'm still a dinosaur from the time that privacy was a big thing. I would say that sometimes I trade my privacy for for stuff until the moment that I figure out what was going on, and then no, I'm not going to pay $3 more and give you this $3 less and give you this information. So, but that's a big thing for sure.
Oh, it's also just that convenience factor too. They make it so much. It's like the more data you give us, the more convenient it will make your life. But wise one man once said, "It's it's all about trade-offs."
Yes. And I don't know you, but I receive so many letters of a data breach.
Oh yeah.
In big companies that we all rely on, and then pretty much what is there? Oh, we are going to give you an year of Experian credit check, right, or something like that. And it's the same thing, right? The amount of robocalls that we receive, the amount of...
Which I debate, are they really... It's fascinating that they must provide a good ROI because they work enough where they keep doing it, but I've never known anyone who's gotten tricked with a robocall. Yeah, they still make them, so they're paying out something.
Yeah,
but...
that's right. Or even, people on the other side, right? My dad, my late dad, unfortunately, my dad passed some time ago, but my late dad was a joker, and at that time it was not robocalls, was call center calls all the time, right? So people trying to do a loan, people try to do this, to do that, some of them legit, some of them not legit. And I remember one time that my dad, he had a injury on the leg and he could not work for a while, so he was for maybe 2-3 years, pretty much sit on a couch watching TV, right? And with the phone on the side. And he was picking all the calls, all the calls. The first time he was pissed. The second time he was pissed. The third time he said, you know what? I'm going to enjoy my day, right? So someone called him, hey, I want a low, do you want a low one? You haven't been selected for this low one. He said, oh, that's great. I owe so much that nobody gives me any loan. Beep, 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 beep. He started to do these things, right? And he enjoyed a little bit. Eventually, nobody called our home anymore.
It's not a bad idea. I always have a good rule of thumb. If you sound like a scammer and you don't know my name, I don't feel guilty messing with you.
Oh, yeah.
Because, my number is associated with the company. So if you just Google my number, you'll know who I am. But they'll call me like, oh, yeah, you want to extend your car's warranty? And two favorite responses is, one, it's a Honda. Like, oh, yeah, you need this. I'm like, it's a Honda.
You don't need that.
And if I feel a little cheeky, they're like, oh, yeah, you want to extend your car's warranty? I'm like, great. How much will it be? Like, oh, what kind of car do you have? Oh, it's a 1938 Duesenberg. It's like, no.
Yeah, it is crazy, man. It is crazy. But that's the new reality, right?
Oh, yeah.
That's the new reality. We really need to look into these things, what we share and everything else. We try to protect our kids to do the right thing. We try to protect our own personal accounts or business accounts too, but always there's someone trying to get that a little bit, right? And if they get that, they can get everything. So,
I'm sure you got a lot of security awareness training when you were working at Ericsson.
Oh, yeah. No, all the time. And they did a great job because the IT start to send phishing.
Oh, yeah.
That
perfect.
Our IT department create for us to try, And I can tell you, probably I had a perfect record.
Nice, man. Yeah, there you go.
Because, come on, man. First thing, look who's sending to you, right?
Oh, yeah, exactly.
That's the first thing. Do you know who is sending to you? Oh, yeah, the name is the name that I know. Roll over your mouse on the top, right? See the actual email, right? don't click on email. And even there was some cases that the email was legit.
Right.
And it sounds weird for me, right? It was a third-party company sending email to us for some service or something like that. And immediately, call your IT.
Oh, yeah?
Hey, guys, I received this mail. Is this legit?
Yeah.
Oh, let's take a look on that. Yeah, that's legit, right? Use the IT. I think people, it's afraid of IT.
Oh, yeah.
IT is the big villain that don't let you do anything, right? I just came from a conference about 3 weeks ago. There was a conference here in Dallas for XR, extended reality. That's one of my passions. And went there, and everybody's saying, oh, you need to bring your IT team when you're on the starting point of this, right? Before you start to select devices or this or that, you need to take your IT team. And that was something very recurrent. And I ended up realizing that I had an amazing IT team, amazing relationship with those folks because we always cared about it. So never has been, hey, why you guys are doing that? Always has been, IT, we are going to do this. How can we do this?
That's the best way to do it.
Yeah,
Especially when you're right, because there are some companies where it's kind of like an adversarial relationship.
Yeah.
But I guarantee you, a good IT staff is going to love you if you call them with something you're concerned about, because they would much rather have you call, be concerned, than just to click all those links and then go, oh, whoops, bad things happen.
That's right.
Always better to play it safe than sorry.
In corporate America, learn 3 things. You needed to get great friends with IT.
Oh, yeah.
Risk mitigation, and legal.
Oh, that's very true.
So every single project that eventually we figure out, how to do something different than the status quo, I always contact those folks. And again, I think that doesn't matter the company.
Oh, that's very true, though. Because, again, especially when it comes to get IT involved as early as possible, because, again, there are a lot of cool devices out there that we use for projects and initiatives. Not all of them are secure. So one of the biggest concerns is, well, you saw this cool device on the internet.
Yeah.
Who's manufacturing that?
That's true.
What type of service agreement are you clicking yes to?
Yep.
Get legal involved. Is it a secure device? Is it a secure product? Who's manufacturing it? Where's your data being stored?
Exactly. Is your data stored? Do you have a REST API there?
Yeah.
Right? Do you have all protected? When you are in REST, when you are in traffic, when you are in the destination, how you protected that, how you encrypted that information, which kind of encryption you use, which kind of SLAs you expect that this company will do if your data is exposed.
Exactly.
That's super important. Super important.
Out of curiosity, what's a couple of your most proud projects or initiatives when you're working at Ericsson?
Oh man, I worked 22 years there, right? So there's a ton of them.
Big sample size.
There's a ton of that. But I would tell you this. I would say two from the standpoint of technology, and one that was not technology at all. Okay, and all of them they have their merit, right? I worked as I climbed the rank on learning in Ericsson. So I started as instructor, right, back in Brazil, and then started to develop some courses there, and evolved as instructor as well. Eventually, I actually, during the 2000 bubble, that was 2002 for us. It got a little bit later to us. I lost my job there, and then I decided to, open my own company. Me and a few other guys. We opened this company called Sapien Training, like Homo Sapien, right?
Yeah.
Training. And we started to teach telecommunications too, right? Actually, we started to compete with Ericsson at that time.
Really?
Yeah. Eventually, we made a deal with Ericsson. We made a deal with Nokia, made a deal with Siemens at the time. And we become like a third-party training company that support all these companies. Was a good timing on
awesome.
that. And then we said, all right, what else can we do? So at that time, we didn't have a 5G, right? We didn't have 4G. So we decided to we saw the opportunity to build a radio-based internet provider. So the way that used to work on that, in Brazil, we have big buildings. It's all downtowns pretty much. You have big buildings in big cities. You are not going to have somewhat like Dallas if you go, but normally it's more than just what you have in Dallas, right? You get a city like Campinas, I believe, has way more buildings than Dallas has.
Really?
Yes. It's very concentrated, right? Because
Maybe more like a Houston kind of?
to be honest with you, I don't remember a lot about Houston.
Oh, no stress.
About 10 years that I don't go there, so I don't remember. But super concentrated. I think, yeah, a little bit that I remember from Houston, yes. If one day you have a chance to go to São Paulo, when you're going down, you're going to see the amount of buildings you will not believe. It's Manhattan type of the amount of business. Very concentrated, very packed. So what we were doing there was we were putting radio-based stations that transmit in a particular frequency that was free to use, right, in the country. So we didn't have to buy super expensive licenses or anything like that. And we were doing like omnidirectional transmission of that. We have one antenna in each one of those buildings, and we have structural cabling bringing internet to the houses or to the apartments within those buildings, right? So we are talking about 15 stores building, 20 stores building, and we were able to sell pretty much to everybody. So we built that company too. Company was successful. Eventually, a friend of mine, Ericsson, actually contacted me back and say, hey, you wanted to come back? I say, man, I'm happy here, but there's one thing that I would like to do that I didn't see a different way to do if I were not going to a big company. That was living abroad, right? I already had some international trips at that time, and then I had to live abroad. I wanted to live abroad. I wanted to live somewhere. At that time, my target was Canada.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and then I went back to work in Ericsson, and I had a chance to go, and I think I spent like a month there.
Yeah.
And it was January. I think it was January 2000.
How cold was that?
6. And then I figured out that the Fahrenheit scale and Celsius scale, they meet at -40. And that moment I said, you know what? Canada is not for me.
No.
Canada is not for me, you know. Brazilians are not built for Canada. Actually, there's a lot of Brazilians that live in Canada.
Really?
A lot of Brazilians that migrate to Canada.
I wonder why.
Yeah, because first and foremost, I would say the process of immigration, it's easy, right? Legal immigration I'm talking about.
I wouldn't think that. So Brazil,
Yeah.
Brazil's
Not just to Brazil,
Oh, okay,
but
in
in general, if you have a profession, normally if you have a bachelor's degree or something like that, if you're a doctor, etc., there's there was at the time, I don't know right now, but there was at the time a easier path for migration and all that stuff. But in my case, in the same way that I came here, right, I came through the company, right? So my company sponsor me moving here. They look for employees to do the same that I used to do over there. They didn't find people that had the skills that I had. So eventually, I was able to move from Brazil to U.S.
There you go.
And then is 2007. That is when I came end of 2006. My grandma at the time, she had 85 years old, something like that. Yeah, 85 years old. No, 83 years old she had. And she said, oh, how long you're going to be there? I said, no, it's 6 months. It's a 6 months deal. It's just temporary and all true. So 17 years after, I'm still here. I'm still here. And I start to work on, I start to evolve my career, right? So I started as instructor, course developer. Eventually, I worked on as a project manager. Eventually, I applied what I learned on the real scenarios. So I worked a little bit as a RAN engineer. That's pretty much who is going to design how the network is going to propagate the signal, how to guarantee that the signal arrives in your home, and consider all the blockages and things like that, where you put the antennas, how you angle everything, how much power, right? A lot of people are afraid about power on those things, right? So always the idea is to minimize the power as much as possible because power costs money, right? So
True.
nobody just, put the maximum power there. That's not the idea. And eventually I became the sales guy for the learning department. I was responsible for what's called pre-sales for most of the customers, but some customers I was handling the direct relation, the actual pure sales relation. And those days I had a very, I would say a very important business person in my life. That was my boss at the time, Vidya Krishna. That she's a big visionary. And our fight was always like this. Can I sell your vision? Yes. Can you deliver on the vision? That was always the conversation, right? So going back to your original question, after I did all this turnaround, right? I would say that probably the one that I'm most proud of is when I did the first sale of a training based on virtual reality in 2016.
Oh, really?
Yes. So we had a great team. We hired a guy that was from the gaming industry to help us to build everything on Unity. I don't know if you're familiar with Unity, right? So we created, in partnership with one of our customers, we created this training that actually hit about 100,000 people in that company, right?
That's awesome.
No, it was great. It was amazing. In 2016, we did that. It was amazing. But that was not like a typical product that we were doing.
Yeah.
So eventually, we did a second one. We did AR at that time too. We used Vuforia for that at the time. That is still Qualcomm at that time. I don't even know who owns the technology today, but we did a lot of cool stuff on those days. That was probably one of the one that I'm more proud of, because the technology was new. We found a practical application of the technology, because that's the challenge a lot of times, right?
Oh, yeah.
You have something super cool, but how you're going to use it, right?
Oh, yeah.
How you're going to extract value from that. So we did that. It was great. And the next one, at that time, we were not doing anything on subscription. And we were seeing Netflix selling subscription. And I was looking to that. I say, come on, man, how can I sell training as a subscription? So same thing. Vidya and I and a few other folks, we look into that problem, and we create our own Netflix for training platform at that time. And we start to sell that.
It's pretty neat.
So it was, these two things were the first time in the whole company, not in US, the whole company, that we sold, right? And I was able to sell that. I was able to manage the customer relationship from the beginning to the end. That was super neat. It was, in terms of technology that I was directly involved to, and that create a real impact. I think that was great. Two things that today Ericsson do. I would say today, until a couple of weeks ago, they may have changed something since I left, but I would say today they do a lot of subscriptions, subscription training. I think it's a great model, easy to consume, is in your phone. Anytime you like, you go there. You wanted to learn about telecommunication. Doesn't matter who you are, right? They create a plethora of different contents that you can consume, from someone that is a low-level tech to someone that's a high advanced radio network engineer. And that's a great thing. It was the first time that we did in Ericsson. Now, the third thing, it's something that I ideate at in a conversation like this. Well, I was having a conversation with one of the guys from my team, and the challenge that we were seeing was we had to train our third parties on a particular technology, and it was a hands-on training. And we were looking how we are going to do this, right? Because the guys don't want to travel here. It's too expensive for them, right? Small companies, every dime really counts, right?
Oh, yeah?
You needed to really get, the outcome quickly of the investment that you do. And we had this big tower infrastructures there that we used to use to teach the guys how to install the equipment, how to climb, and this and that. This was a pure installation class. And we look into that and say, all right, how we can do this? Oh, maybe we call those guys and we tell them, hey, can you put some metal together, right, just to simulate a site? So we can ship to you in a couple of pallets, right? Some equipment, we fly the instructor, we get everybody trained. But in that moment, Ericsson was doing something else. We have this company called Pods. Are you familiar with Pods?
Is that for shipping?
Yeah, it's for moving most of the time, right? They bring the container in front of your home.
Oh, yeah, they drop it off as like a shipping container right in front of
Exactly,
your home. Yeah,
exactly.
I've seen those, yeah.
So I was having this conversation, and then a thing clicked to me and said, hey, let's ship everything in a pod.
Yeah.
And then instead of to ask these guys to do anything, let's get metal ourselves and let's build a micro training center that we can ship around the country in a pods.
That'd be pretty cool.
And then we did one.
Yeah.
We ran for a year, pretty good. Then there was some reorgs in the company, some changes in the company. And we had 5 training centers at a time. And we look into that and say, you know what? The perfect way to substitute that is by building more of this. So we built more. They are in different regions. Do you need a training? You can coordinate with the pod company. They go, they pick the pod, they drop the pod. When you need a training, do the training, move. So we didn't only solve the problem of get people trained, but also the financials associated with that. Because for these companies to travel somewhere, right, spending the money, but not just the money. Every time that you are not on site producing, you're losing money, right?
True. Time.
So your IT company, if you are not able to deploy, you're losing money, right? So how we manage that, right? So just by the fact that I'm bringing the training to you, now I'm saving to you not just the travel cost, but 2 days of travel. And those 2 days of travel, you're producing. So suddenly, you multiply this by X amount of crews in the country, the amount of savings for everybody and the amount of efficiency that you get for everybody is huge.
Adds up pretty quick.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's an analog type of solution,
Yeah.
but was a solution that actually helped a lot of people, you know, and I'm super proud of that.
That's pretty cool. I would have never thought about that.
It's a simple thing.
Yeah.
Simple thing. It's not rocket science or anything like that. It's super simple, but it works pretty cool.
That's awesome. I didn't even think about that. We just get pod, put everything you need for the trainings in there, and ship it all out.
Think like this, right? You represent some IT companies, right?
Oh, yeah.
And then you have this new router that you needed to roll over in several different locations, right? One router is simple. You put that under your arm, you bring in these locations, you give you a quick training here and there, right?
Yeah.
But what if you cannot bring that router, or is a stack that's way larger? How you handle that, right? So this is a solution, right? This is a low-tech solution. If you ask me what needs to be the solution in 2-3 years, needs to be a mix of XR, extended reality, with AI, where you're going to use your goggles, or you're going to get Orion from Meta, for example, right? Didn't have a chance to look in Orion yet, but it's super cool, right? This is a...
I noticed the glasses on those with the cameras. Right?
Yeah, this is the Meta Ray-Ban glasses. This is still just a dumb glass.
How do you like them?
I love it.
So what do they do?
I love it.
I read about a couple articles, but never actually seen them in the real world. They're a lot thinner than I thought they'd be.
So actually, you can take a look.
It's a lot lighter than I thought it'd be too.
It's pretty much like a... Yeah.
How do I look?
Yeah, it's good, man. It looked good, because that's the thing, right? So it's super thin.
Yeah.
It has speakers.
It does?
Yes, it's induction speakers.
How do you charge this thing? Or is it wireless charging?
You actually charge that in the box.
Oh, really?
Yes, in the box you have a charger. Again, right?
So it's got the 2 cameras right there?
Yes, it can take the pictures. It can record the pictures. It has Llama on the back.
Really?
Yeah, you need to be connected, right? So right now, cell phone is down, so you're not going to be able to do anything. But
it's like a James Bond thing. So you click this button, it takes a picture?
No, you can say, hey, Meta, take a picture. Hey, Meta, record. I will share some things that I do with that with you later.
So what's the button do?
Take pictures if you like. Yeah.
That's so cool.
Yeah. So this is...
They crammed a lot of stuff in here.
Oh, man, that's a...
Now, it'll be interesting to see what's the biggest question is consumer adoption. Because like years ago, Google Glasses tried it just failed epically. Like the consumer wasn't ready for it. I think that was an issue. But
that's the thing. So
this it might be.
So
it looks really cool.
What they did here, in my opinion, is they said, look, we cannot put today on this frame anything that is projecting, the visuals or anything like that. But this is the perfect way to introduce the concepts of having a wearable device in your eyes.
So it's and capturing a lot of data.
And capturing data.
So eventually you think, because I know Meta, what was it, 3 or 4 weeks ago, they had Mark Zuckerberg's the latest glasses, or even, there's only like 3 or 4 prototypes developed, but they have that.
Yes.
But the issue is the cost is, 30, 40 grand plus.
Even more, I think.
But again, like most things in tech, you get the economies of scale, you get the volume discounts. Eventually, the price point will go down.
Exactly. So,
especially for training, it's gonna be revolutionary. Like, imagine if you could send someone to a data center.
You see my
they got the glasses. Go like, okay, you need to take that wire out, plug it in there, and you take that drive out, swap it in a new one, and you can highlight the exact drive you need to take out.
Today, the option for that is really HoloLenses. Cool.
Yeah,
HoloLenses is the option for that. But Microsoft announced that they're shutting down, HoloLenses, right? And I don't believe it's anything related with adoption or the product.
Really?
I think it's way more related with the acquisition of Activision, right? That they did. Is Activision?
Oh yeah, Microsoft bought
Activision, right?
Which also owned Blizzard, so it's a big acquisition.
So I think it's a little bit about moving money from one place to the other place, to justify. You cannot just blindly invest it in whatever you want, right?
They also bought Bethesda too. They're buying and Rare, which all my favorite publishers. But yeah, some of those tech companies, like especially, Google's notorious for just abandoning projects left and right. So that's another issue. They can make something really cool, but then kind of stops working on it altogether. But I think Mark Zuckerberg is really, really passionate about the metaverse and those glasses, the augmented reality. He's willing to put billions into it, and they still don't make a profit on it yet. I was reading the last fiscal report a couple weeks ago. They're slowly making more money in the VR sets and the VR communities. Yeah. So it's growing, but again, it's still nothing compared to the total volume of revenue for the company.
You're just to put your toes on that. Exactly. You're just dipping your toes on that.
But you have to innovate or die, though. No one wants to be Atari.
Yeah.
They were the tech company for a while, and unfortunately now they're just known as an intellectual property, and there's a company that sells rights to be used for it.
And think about this, right? They make Llama available.
Mm-hmm.
Why they're making Llama available, right? Mm-hmm. To drive the usage.
Oh, yeah.
To create a platform that you are used to it, right? Mm-hmm. You get a glass that is $300 glass.
Yeah.
Right? It got even cheaper than that. And great glass. Do what's the purpose of doing it? Mm-hmm. It seems that the new release, they're going to put a translation function. So I'll be able to tell you something in Portuguese and you'll be able to hear me out. And with that, they get the early adopters like me. Mm-hmm. I actually not the first one that I know that I bought it. I bought it because a friend of mine, Sumit, bought it, and he told me so great things about that. And I was looking to that. I need to buy this. I need to buy it. Eventually, I went there, I bought it. That's my only sunglass that I use nowadays.
Really?
Every single time. Doesn't bother me with a little bit extra weight at all. And as you know, I like cars a lot. Oh, yeah. So a lot of times I'm driving and then a nice car passed by. I just, hey, Matt, start to record. And I record that scene that I'm driving with the other car right in front of me,
So where does it save that video? Does it save to your phone or the cloud?
It's on the cloud.
Ah, there you go.
And then later on you can download so again,
pretty ingenious.
For me, this is a very good strategy to bring something, partner with a brand that's a brand that everybody likes.
Yeah,
right?
Actually, it's not that heavy.
No, it's not.
I thought it'd be a little bit more. It's not bad.
No, it's not bad at all. For the first commercial ones, if you take the other ones, I think there's another one that's even lighter.
It's amazing how much tech they could cram into these things these days. Because, I've had some knockoff Ray-Bans throughout the years. I forget, I'm not a glass aficionado, but I forget, is this called the leg or I don't know what you call that part of the specific part of the glasses. Yeah, sure. It is now, the legs of the glasses, but it's only maybe 1 millimeter thicker than a standard Ray-Ban glass leg. So to me, that's even more impressive. It's
4 hours of battery.
Really?
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
What's the resolution, I wonder, on the cameras?
1080, if I'm not wrong.
Pretty damn good.
Yeah. I'll show you a couple of videos later.
Yeah, I'd love to see that.
It's
ingenious.
You even can stream on Instagram or Facebook.
Well, I was going to say, of course, that's what they'd want. It's Facebook.
My son plays soccer, right?
Yeah.
Football. My son plays soccer, and it's rec soccer, and we can get pretty close to the field. So sometimes I actually go there, start to live stream on my Facebook account, and I can live stream like if I'm watching the game, right? Because that's what I'm doing. I'm watching the game, and somebody can just join and watch the game with me.
That's pretty cool. I like that idea.
Super, if you're going to do something on your profession, for example, I have this friend that he retired, for medical reasons, and now he wants to be a cooker. So he started to learn to cook, and he started to, transmit on Facebook and Instagram. He cooking the things with the first,
good idea.
The first profile, like first shooter profile, and man, it's pretty cool. Pretty cool. I love it.
That's really neat.
I love it. And for me, that's the best way to start it. To engage your potential customers on something that's easy and available right now, right? And with that, you start to cramp even more technology on it.
All right.
If the Orion, that's the name, right? Orion. I think that's Orion from Meta. Delivers what they're promising. It's going to be revolutionary for many industries, not just for fun, right? I see in a couple of years probably you are going to, as you were saying, right? You are going to fix this, and it's going to just give you all the instructions and all the steps, so you can learn on the way of going, right? You don't need to learn everything, forget, and then try to figure out things. You will be able to do that as you are going to need.
I mean, that's going to be revolutionary for so many trades, especially like you're talking about in terms of, imagine if you're a mechanic, instead of going to a classroom and learning, maybe sometimes you get to go play on an engine. Well, what if you just have that glasses and your instructor's on the phone with you, or talking through the glasses? Yeah. You're looking at an engine that you're supposed to fix. They can highlight what part you need to troubleshoot. I mean, how cool is that going to be? That's going to be,
that already exists.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's Porsche has that.
Really?
Yes.
What don't they have at Porsche? That's pretty cool.
Yeah, right? Pretty cool, right?
So the mechanics get access to those tools?
The mechanics, I don't know if it's every single shop, but when I was, investigating this technology in order to apply that to Ericsson applications, I actually eventually I founded this company that created this technology, applied this technology for Porsche, because one of the beautiful things about Porsche is you can create your personal car that only you have.
Oh yeah.
Right? You can order different suspension. You can order a different, gear. You can order a different engine. You can order tons of different things.
I mean, there's like 40 different types of green paint you can get.
Think about that, right? Just about that, right? And you still can sample your color in Porsche.
Oh, yeah.
That's super cool.
Oh, yeah.
It's expensive,
well,
but super
it's
cool.
really similar to Rolls-Royce in terms of like taking care of the customer and giving them unlimited custom options. Because I've spent a lot of time on the dreaming on the Porsche configurator.
Yeah.
And for $40,000 you can get the exact paint sample that you want. It can be that unique.
It's amazing.
And for $20,000 you can get like one of the 20 different or 20 or 40 different shades of green. Which
that's right.
I'm partial towards the acid green myself.
That's right.
That one I'm looking at. But and the technology to build those configurator apps. I mean, it's so cool.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
Right, because it's kind of almost neural networks.
Oh yeah. I wonder if they'll get
in order to have everything like that mapped like that.
I wonder if they'll ever get to the point, and I'm not sure what the ROI would necessarily be in terms of consumers realistically using it. Like right now, if you use the website, you see the outside of the car, you can turn it around, you can see some rendered images of the inside.
Yes.
But it's very much, you can move it around, but it's mostly a static perspective. I wonder if it'll ever get to the point, and again, I'm not sure it'd be worth the cost of rendering this and building it, but what if you put on your augmented glasses and you could go through every different Porsche configurator where like you're saying, you can choose the thread color in your seat upholstery. Could you get to the point where it's all configured like that? We can see every detail, and you can actually open the doors and like play around with everything in the car, just like the real world.
I don't remember one thing, so I'm not going to say.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say the brand, but I had a chance to interact with a car brand, American car brand, about 3 weeks ago. And if I'm not wrong, they already have that experience in the...
Really?
Yes. I'm not quite sure if it goes exactly to the level that you were talking about, because it was more like a short speech with a demonstration. So I didn't saw that by myself.
Oh, yeah.
But I don't believe we are far from there. I
think,
really don't.
I mean, with the well, like it is in most things in life, with enough time, money, and resources, you can do near everything. You can do it now, but is it worth it to spend that much money on how many people would use it right now? Although it might be like 4K cameras.
Let me change a little bit the angle. I think is that something that will move the bottom line or not?
Precisely. Yeah. What's the ROI?
What's the ROI on that? Because the first time that I worked with VR, the big factor was the wow factor, right? So build something that can give you a nice wow factor. You can do that any day.
True.
But how you measure the effectiveness of the usage of the tool and convert that in dollars. I would say that is the real key. And that's the key for anything that you wanted to do in your life, right? Oh, yeah. So for training, for example, there's a method that's called Kirkpatrick, right? That measure first, do you like the training? Yes, I like the training. You do evaluation at the end of the training. I like the training, right? Second, did you learn? So normally you measure that with a test or a practical or written or multiple choices, right? And you measure before the test what you score after the test. So I learned something. The third is what's the feedback of the people around you, right? Normally your manager or your supervisor about, hey, this person is improving after, right? And the fourth is how competent you are or how effective you are. And for that, you need to be able to measure a particular thing that's quantifiable, right? So like, for example, if I'm building cans, right? How many of those cans had defects before and after that person went to training? So maybe none of them, because training is not really important for that particular activity. But if you later wanted to do something else with the cans, like processing the cans, and that is to recycling, and you need to get some kind of a separation because there are different metals in the cans, things like that. If you're not able to identify the metals, maybe that's a place that you are going to impact the ROI more, okay? So that's for training, but the concept applies for everything, right? So you're going to build a big AR VR studio in order to rendering that Porsche experience, that ultimate Porsche experience that you can get from home. All right, great. How many more cars did you sell?
Precisely.
A different question. Do you want it to sell more cars?
That's true too.
Right? Because sometimes you don't want it to sell more cars. You want it to steep the price.
You want to be exclusivity. You want there to be fewer, more special.
Exactly. So what do you really want? Or is this a brand-related thing that you wanted to make that the dream car of that kid, right? Porsche for me is a dream car since I was a kid, right? I remember that my dad had bakeries in Brazil. We still have the bakeries, but we don't manage them anymore. And we all the time we get posters from cigarette manufacturers, right? Because at that time, there was a big advertisement that associated a health style, a fun style, not a health style, a fun style with smoking cigarettes, right?
It used to be healthy.
Yeah, it used to, right?
Well, the doctors used to say
that's right.
You lose weight. They used to say cure colds and lose weight,
That's right. Right. It's all about the timing. And I remember that in one of these times, there was one big poster that had multiple cars, and one of the cars there was a 944.
Oh, really?
Yeah, red 944, right?
Nice.
That's kind of
color.
the staple, right, for 944s. And I kept that car in my dream car for very long. I never had one, but it's a car that if one day I find a turbo version in good shape, probably I will get that, and then I will drive like slower than any minivan that we have today, but it's still a nice car.
That's a funny thing. Modern cars are so fast. Like
it is.
I mean, what used to be back in the day, cutting edge, really super speedy. Now, like a Honda Civic or a Toyota Corolla can go faster.
Oh yeah. I will tell you this, man. It's funny. Sometimes you get someone in a Ferrari in the traffic going slow, just enjoying the day, right? And the other guy trying to rival that with Sienna.
I was gonna say some of the fastest cars are like the bland colored Toyotas from the '90s because no one's gonna pull them over.
No, that's nice, man. That's nice. You know, I maybe one day get one of the older Japanese cars and do some work on that. I love to work on cars, and
They're so much fun.
That's super fun.
Do you remember your first Porsche you ever bought?
It was a Boxster 2011.
Nice.
Yeah, it's great.
How'd you find it?
That's a funny story. My son and my wife always telling me, "Hey, you should buy the car. You know, I love the car. You should buy the car." I say, "No, it's expensive. It's not really that expensive. You know, it's always the fear of how much will cost to maintain, right? And I figure out that in general, German cars, if you do what you need to do, you know, they will last forever. You know, that's my sense. I had some different German cars across my life, and in general, they perform well. They're good cars. Italian cars are a different matter, but you know, German cars, that's pretty much what happens. And I was looking for, you know, like a shopping on Car Gurus every single day, looking for cars over and over and over and over and over, you know, and never buying anything. One day, this car showed up. It was the cheapest, you know, Porsche that I could find that was certified. But there's one inconvenience on that car.
What was it?
It was in Minnesota.
Ew, that's a long
and I live
drive.
in Dallas, right? And beginning of COVID, so you know nobody was buying cars right in the beginning of COVID.
Oh yeah.
So I could get an amazing deal. The Porsche dealership there did a great job. You know, they got my confidence on buying from them the moment that the guy started to show all the flaws of the car for me. You know, here are the flaws, right?
I like it.
Show all the flaws. Guy's great guy. You know, I still talk with the guy. Never bought it again, but I still talk with them once in a while. You know, and bought a car. You know, less than 30 grand, if you believe in me.
It's pretty good.
Yeah, and with warranty and everything else.
Even better.
And I enjoy the car. It's not fast. I mean, it can do 165.
That's pretty good.
But it's not the fastest car over there, right? But it's fun.
Oh yeah,
it's super fun. And eventually, when the craziness during COVID, the car craziness in COVID came, I actually decided to sell it, and I got an excellent deal in one of these car companies that buy and sell cars, buy from you, etc. They did an offer that nobody could give it to me. I thought they miss a zero or something like that, you know, like, oh, no, that's wrong.
Yeah.
Let's run there, try to deliver this car to them right now, right? And then I sold to them. I stayed a year without a car until I found a new one. And I'm not looking to get to different paths with this car anytime soon. It's a great car. It's a car that you can probably keep for 20 years.
Oh yeah.
And just do the right maintenance, and you will never see a problem.
And your new one's a 2016 Boxster?
16, yes.
Nice.
Yeah, 16. It's a great car.
What's the top speed on that thing?
I think it's the same, about 168, 165. But I never got even closer to that. I'm not doing tracks like you, man. So
you should.
I don't know. Maybe one day, man. Maybe one day.
There's a lot of Porsches there. It's a lot of fun.
I bet. But as I was telling you, probably a Miata is a better thing there, you know?
It really is. It's one of those things where, like, growing up, everyone would joke, like, oh, yeah, it's a Mazda Miata. It comes with a free purse. Because it was always seen as a small, girly car. But you know what? If you go to track days, that's what the best bang for your buck is. It's like, you can still get them sub 35 grand. You get a stick shift. The weight distribution is perfect. A nice two-seater. And Spec Miata is one of the biggest, most popular race classes ever.
And the interesting thing for me is what I like about this car is the fact that it's a mid-engine.
Oh, yeah. Perfect balance.
Perfect balance. And the Miatas are not.
Yeah.
They still do a lot of stuff, you know, not being a mid-engine. That's amazing for me. You know, I never had one. I have a friend that actually has more than one. He actually buy and sell sometimes, you know, resurrect some of them. He used to say that he hates to see a Miata that's dying.
Oh,
you
really?
know, he buys, do something and sells to somebody, you know. He hates to see that. And It's a great car.
I still kick myself for not buying. Like, you used back in my day, like pre-pandemic, pre-COVID, they had Mazda on Craigslist with a stick shift. They should all have that by default.
$3,000.
Yeah, $2,000-3,000, and they weren't ratty. Like, they're pretty good condition, a little high mileage, sure, but like a couple grand, you get a fun little Japanese sports car.
That's right.
Darn near bulletproof reliability.
Yeah.
And in terms of aftermarket support, I mean, it is one of the best. Like, there's so many third parties making pieces for like 1990s Miatas to keep them on the road.
Exactly.
The dangerous thing is, though, you start putting money in that and customizing it.
Yeah, that's the problem with customization.
It adds up quick.
I used to have a 12. My first sport car was a 12 Mustang.
Oh, nice.
Convertible.
There you go.
Because I had to have a convertible. I never had a convertible in my life.
All right.
Since then, man, I'm crazy about convertibles, and I spent quite of a good amount of money on that car, customizing the car.
What do you do?
Oh man, I start with the wheels, right?
Oh yeah, get some
Always
nice rims
do
on
the
there.
wheels. And then I put stripes, and then
Nice.
I
What
put,
color was it?
It was silver with a black stripes.
I like that. It's a good combo.
Yeah, it was good, man. And I did everything myself. I changed the suspension myself. I put sport
Nice.
suspension, and after that, put leather on the car because it was not leather, so I put leather on the car. I changed the headlights. I changed the cold air intake.
Of course, yeah.
Right. I changed the pipes. So when you see it's a different car, it's not the same car anymore.
Oh yeah.
And the worst is a lot of these companies that buy cars for Brazil, they cannot get a car with the specification that I had. So when I decided to sell that, and it was during the craziness of COVID as well. I sold all the cars during the craziness of COVID.
That's a good. I was going to say that was a good
great,
move because they were worth so much money at the peak of COVID.
No,
it's the one time where
crazy.
used cars were worth more than new cars. It was such an outlier in car history.
Crazy.
It's insane.
Crazy. And then when I sold, I brought that to CarMax, and they looked at that and said, no, you
Too custom.
cannot be like this, cannot be like that. I said, all right, no, that's fine. Brought the car home, removed most of the things, but I didn't remove the cold air emission because I didn't have the box.
The factory one.
Yeah, the factory one anymore. I sold it, and I brought the car back. They got the car that way. It was fine, but they cannot sell to California with the cold air emission like I put it.
Oh, jeez, California.
Yeah, so a couple of months later, I saw the car online for sale, and man, they changed it. They put it back.
Oh, really?
They spent money on the car. That thing was kind of expensive. So probably one of the mechanics ended with
Swapped
that
it
in
out
the end.
there.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't even use your sports mode in California.
I don't know. You cannot.
No, they arrest you. Or they
Really?
They don't impound the car. They snipe you the fee, and the dealership has to uninstall everything that enables sports mode.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah, you have another reason not to drive in California. You also give tickets if your exhaust is too loud, even if it's factory.
Yeah,
so a lot of the car
I
guys
saw on the internet so many times with these hurricanes or yeah. Crazy.
A lot of the car guys have left California because of those laws. Like, because pretty much every modern car has a sports mode, which some do more than others.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you're using that sports mode, California. Like
Interesting.
And some estimates, like some guys are saying, oh yeah, if we take the dealership and they uninstall that stuff, it's like $7,000 in labor fees.
Wow.
Oh, it's insane. Yeah,
It's crazy.
So, yeah, let's just say I'm not going to live there anytime soon.
Yeah, I'm not moving there either. I love Texas.
Oh yeah, well, nice cheap gas in Texas too.
Yeah, that's right. I don't care much about fuel consumption here.
No. And then you're saying you might get a nice 1990s Japanese car. What you thinking for your dream? What do you want to turn a wrench on?
I don't know, man. I don't know. It's something that I need to thank my son. Now he's 15, and he's looking to get his first car. I may do something with him.
Cool.
For a long time, he was a lot into Japanese cars. Now he's looking more into other cars, but I probably will convince him eventually to maybe do a Miata first.
Those are great cars to turn wrenches on. I mean, there's a lot of, like we were saying earlier, there's a lot of support for them.
That's
pretty
right.
simple, especially get like 1990s one, not too complicated with computers.
Yes.
The prices have gone up so much, but you know what?
That's
it's a great
the
car to get
problem.
though too. Get 2002 like. Oh man, I'd love to get a Honda Civic S2000.
Oh, that's nice.
Stick
That's
shift
2000?
only, pretty simple, high rev. You get to hear that VTEC kick in.
Yeah.
But the issue is like the prices have just gone up so much because again they're not making them again. And
Or you try
people
to
love
get a Lexus. I'm not going to say the number right here, but there's some early 2000s, I think, Lexus. No, early 90s Lexus with the two JZ.
One of my buddies, yeah. So
SSC 430, I think.
I'm so bad with the nomenclature.
Yeah,
I know what
remember.
you're talking about though, because one of my buddies actually he has a Mark IV Supra and he fixes a bunch of those cars. He does the ECU
It's the
repairs.
same engine. It's the same engine.
Precisely. Yeah.
It's the same engine, man. That's a nice one.
That'd be pretty fun.
That's
That'd
a nice
That's
one.
a sleeper. No one knows about
No
that.
one
Like,
knows.
You can go to a stoplight. No one realizes that.
But you're not going to do anything with that car in the stoplight, right?
Well, of course not. Yeah. but you know what the sad thing is though? As fast as that is, a Tesla will beat it.
Yes.
It's like, oh, dang. So that's,
Any day.
that's the funny thing about auto enthusiasm. It seems like it used to be the big metric was, what's the fastest 0 to 60 time, and now I think Porsche does it best. It's all about the driving experience.
It is.
So they know you don't need to chase horsepower anymore. It's about what's the most fun. And to me, there's nothing more fun than downshifting into a corner on a track. It's like I know it'll never be faster to do a manual versus automatic.
Yeah.
But to me, it's all about the driving experience. I think Porsche does that best. For a lot of other companies, are trying
you
to
feel the car, man. It's amazing.
precisely. It's so much more
amazing.
fun.
It's amazing.
Oh, yeah.
I did a travel to Italy that I mentioned to you before, and we were trying to fit everything for everybody. So my daughter, she is an art student, so we went to Florence to take a look, to take a look on the art museums there, et cetera, et cetera. For me, my son, we need to go to Modena.
Oh yeah.
Right, and we went there, and we were able to see 2 Ferrari museums.
Oh, cool.
1 Lamborghini museum, and we were able to go to the Pagani museum.
Oh, really?
And factory. So we were able to walk through the factory.
That's awesome.
Whilst the guys were doing it. Man, it's so crazy.
That's the thing. The Pagani's a thing of art on wheels.
It is.
They're beautiful. Have you seen one? Because again, the internet pictures on our phones don't do it justice. Like
No,
I saw,
don't do.
There's the Pagani Utopia at a car show a couple months ago.
Oh, it's amazing.
And the guy was telling us how it took him like years to go to Italy, because again, you fly over there, you spec it out, you make sure it fits you literally like a glove. And like just looking at it up close, the carbon fiber, I mean, it just looked immaculate. And
No,
especially like,
it's
the little leather straps to like keep some cubbies in place. Like the craftsmanship is so beautiful. It's amazing.
I tell you this, man. It's so amazing that the screws have Pagani name on it.
Oh, I believe it. It's good branding too.
It's amazing. We were able to look everything from where they do the carbon fiber.
Oh, really?
Yeah, how they mold the carbon fiber and all that stuff. Cars that were in base being produced, engines that have been under production there. It's super cool. And assembling, right? Because they do not produce the engines, if I'm not wrong.
Mercedes does.
Yeah, Mercedes does. Yeah, those AMG
V12s.
Yes, V12s.
And
it's beautiful, man.
They finally got one with a stick shift too.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
Oh yeah, the Utopia. Someone ordered it with the stick shift.
Oh, that's
So,
too much power, man.
No, it's perfect.
It's the new window maker.
There's so few cars these days with a V12
That's
and
true.
a stick.
That is
like
true.
a Lamborghini LP 640 is going for $1 million plus these days because of the rarity. But like,
Yeah.
I mean, whoever buys that, I mean, I suspect they won't because it's custom to them. But you could buy, and again, I don't necessarily like the investments that make people turn cars into. But I mean, what's the value of a Pagani with a stick shift? I'd say double or triple what the MSRP is. Like, that is so cool.
Probably is a 1 of 1.
Oh, yeah.
1 of 5.
Yeah. It's
they had this car there. I think the name is Barchetta. That is one of the versions of the previous model, and I believe it's like a 1 of 2.
Oh yeah.
So car like that don't have a value.
Oh yeah. It's just
Don't have value. It is.
I think Hennessy, the Venom GT, the newest one. I forget the exact specific name, but that's the most powerful stick shift out there. I think it's 1,800 horsepower. It's insanely powerful.
That's crazy.
Right?
That's crazy. We don't need all that. I mean, I don't. I don't drive fast these days anymore. So
Of course, neither do I. Wink, wink.
Yeah.
And what else do you like to do outside the office?
Huh?
What else do you like to do outside the office?
I like to work on the cars a lot. That's something for sure. I like to build Legos.
Oh, really?
Guess which type of Legos I built?
The car ones?
Car ones, yes.
The Tektronix?
Yes.
Or the Technic ones?
Yeah, I'm doing a GT3 right now.
Really? I
Yeah,
got the...
this side.
Is it the white Porsche? Or which one does it look like?
It's white and red and a little bit of a shade of a black.
That's hilarious. I was going to say, I'll show you in the living room. I have that right by the old Sony
cool,
Trinitron
man.
TV. Yeah, my buddy gave me a Lego set with that.
That's cool. That's cool.
They're so cool.
And I love things related with space as well. When I was a kid, I was the only one in my neighborhood saying that I would like to be astronaut. So, so I still have a bunch of, I have a Saturn V that I need to build. I have the space station that I need to build and the lunar module that I need to build too. So,
pretty cool.
That's probably will keep me on these holidays, pretty busy during the holidays.
Do the kiddos like that too?
Both of them.
Yeah, perfect.
Both of them. My son's helping me with the Porsche. My daughter's come back from college early December, so we probably are going to do the Saturn V when she arrives.
That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, so that's something that we have in common. We always like that, So I like to build the Legos. Besides that, I'm a little bit of a geek myself, so I like to learn.
Yeah.
So I'm always looking for what's the new thing. So right now I'm putting a ton of time on AI.
Oh, yeah.
Not just regenerative AI, but other forms of AI too, trying to learn more. Trying to see how we can adapt AI, like regenerative AI today, to learning, right? How we can help people to learn fast with that. That's something that I'm studying right now. A couple of weeks ago, I started to look into robotics. That's something that I didn't look for very long, but I met, a company that works with robotics. Their work seems to be impressive. And I start to talk with them about, what we could do.
Yeah.
So, looking for some opportunities there on that area. I don't know, man. There's a ton of things, but I love to learn new things. That's part of me. That's part of my DNA. My mother was a teacher. My father was a teacher and part of his life too. So it's something that always related to us. I was instructor for 12 years.
Yeah.
Traveling everywhere, to deliver courses, technical courses. So I'm pretty happy to learn more things every single day. So
I like it. Well, we'll definitely have to have you on the show again soon.
All right.
Thanks so much for coming on, Paulo.
See you.
Absolutely. Thank you, everyone, for taking the time to tune in. Don't forget to click that like, subscribe, and comment button. Also, don't forget to take time to tell your family, tell your friends, tell your coworkers, heck, tell your enemies, tell anyone and everyone. Just stay safe. Y'all have a great night.
All right. Thank you. Bye.
Topping Talks.